Over the last couple of years, Eric DeCosta and former Ravens GM Ozzie Newsome had a very good formula: run the ball and play phenomenal defense, and it has worked. As you know, the Ravens have made the playoffs numerous times. They had a top five, top three defense these past couple seasons, every single year. But besides injuries and Lamar Jackson playing poorly in the playoffs, the Ravens has always been a deep playoff team. But after every playoff loss and every disappointment season, the biggest thing that people say is the Ravens need a receiver one. They need a big time receiver to pair with Lamar Jackson. My argument is every historic running quarterback, their best target is a tight end. Michael Vick had Age Crumbler, Cam Newton had Greg Olsen, and the man himself, Steve Young, had Shannon freaking Sharp. But that's just my argument, and I think Mark Andrews is Lamar Jackson's receiver one when he's healthy, but the thing is he's been battling with injuries and things like that. And pretty much the Ravens, they would drive any position but a receiver in the first couple of rounds because they feel like they didn't need receivers. They felt like the receiver market is just way too high to be paying $100 million just for one position. They feel like they can use that for more depth at the defense position because they want to keep up and maintaining a high profile defensive team. It did work because every year the Ravens have a top 5 defense every or top 10 defense every single year. Besides 2021 because everybody got hurt that year. But besides that, in 2023 the Ravens are going in at a really, I want to say, confusing position now. They've completely 180 this roster ever since Lamar Jackson signed that big deal, getting a bunch of receivers and not really filling out the. So in this video today, we're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens and what I see them doing this year and things like that. So let's get straight into the video. So when Lamar Jackson signed his contract, I was a bit puzzled and I was a bit questioning because I think he does deserve a big contract, but highest paid money quarterback, and I think that's a bit of a reach, mainly because he hasn't really done anything top quarterback worthy. I think if Tyler Huntley had a little bit more experience and didn't have a couple brain dead moments, I mean, I think they would have won versus the Bengals. But that's just me personally. I know some people have mixed emotions on Lamar Jackson getting his money, but that's just my stance. I think he's between like 8 and 12. I don't think he's number one quarterback material money. Since they made him the top paid quarterback in the NFL, they got him some top weapons, I guess, now, way better than last year. Obviously, Rashad Bateman, he's coming off that injury. Odell Beckham, and I got a lot of mixed emotions on this one. The $15 million signing is just a way overpaid for an old receiver that's in his 30s, didn't play football last year, coming off an ACL injury. I think that's a bit of a reach, but that's just me. I think he does fit the Ravens culture. I mean, I guess you can say that with Lamar Jackson and you know, but me personally, I don't like the signing at all at $15 million. $10 million, I can probably see that, but 15, that's a massive overpay. But luckily, it's just 1 year. Now, Nelson Aguilar, he is a veteran receiver. He does bring veteran presence, playoff experience, and things like that. Zay Flowers, the first round rookie. I do like that pick, actually. I don't think he's the best receiver, but I do like his play. And then obviously you still have Demarcus Robinson. Bro showed out in that playoff game, and then they brought in Andy Isabella, the GOAT himself from Tampa Bay. Now I'm just playing. Dude is a demon on Madden. He's like super fast for no reason. Now the running back core, I think this is the weak area now. J.K. Dobbins, obviously he's a pro bowling running back. Dude's a demon. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill have both been in the system for years now. Both on low deals, very flexible deals. If they don't want them, they can just drop them at any moment. But Keaton Mitchell and Owen Wright, both rookies, I think undrafted or late round rookies. And then Pat Ricard, obviously he's a fullback, don't really get a lot of touches, but I think the running back room could have got a lot more if they just drafted correctly, but that's just me. I think they should have kept Kenyon Drake. I think he's better than Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, especially in the receiving game. I think with Lamar Jackson, has the right system, which I don't think Greg Roman was the issue. I know that at times that the Ravens offense can look stagnant, it can be plateau, not really all that good. But bringing in Todd Monken, okay, whatever. I don't think that's even better. I think if anything, that's worse. Just looking at his track record, when he coached the Buccaneers, yes, that was pretty good, but he really doesn't have a sort of like running style offense. He has a passing style offense now. I think that's what's again, what the Ravens are doing. They're complete 180. I think they are moving towards that passing game style offense now, and just try to get away from the running game. Trying to get Lamar Jackson to run the ball if it's necessary, not as a primary style of play. I do like it because it does sell us more tickets. It does get the offense going. A lot more exciting football than just run the ball 50 times and then get 6 or 7 yards. That's not really exciting. But I think the defense is going to take a step back, because if they're exploding more on offense and getting big chunk plays and things like that, the defense is going to be on the field a lot more. And don't get me wrong, this defensive unit is still elite, actually, with Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, and Roquan Smith and things like that. But when your defense is on the field more and more, the weak points are going to show, and they're going to get exposed by teams when they find out what's your weak area. And the Ravens, again, they did not address many areas on the defensive side of the ball. They still need a defensive line presence. They don't have that star defensive line unit. Maggie Don left about 2 or 3 years ago. Calais Campbell left. Justin Houston left. If I'm not mistaken, they really don't have any big time defensive line. Justin Houston led the team in sacks at 9.5 sacks, and their best player was Justin McAdoock. I think they said his name. He's a defensive tackle. He had 5.5 sacks. That's a 4-sack difference. But Justin Houston, he didn't play the full season. He missed about 3 games, and after that, it's Calais Campbell, and he had 5.5 sacks too. He's not on the team anymore. And then Patrick Queen had 5 sacks, but he's a interior linebacker, and he may get released or traded because they potentially drafted his replacement. And we're going to talk about that too, because Patrick Queen, they did not pick up his 5th-year option, and it's looking like he's not a Raven anymore, like pretty soon, because he's deleted all of his pictures. He was supposed to be this big time linebacker like a CJ Mosley or Ray Lewis, and the Ravens, they pretty much thrive off that. And I think that's pretty much that's what they like to have, is that centerpiece interior linebacker. And Patrick Queen was not that. And ever since they traded for Roquan Smith, and then once they really signed him, it was pretty much GG's. Patrick Queen is at this point, he's counting his days left in Baltimore, pretty much, in my eyes. And when they drafted a guy, I think from Clemson, if I'm not mistaken, he plays very similar to Patrick Queen, and it's just a matter of, are they going to keep him for this next year, or are they just going to move off of him, trade him, or just flat out release him? Now, one of the things that really made me delay this video was them getting a second cornerback. I was very puzzled, and I was very questioning, like, what is this team doing, because they did not draft a cornerback. And a couple of days later, they obviously traded for Rocky Sin. Did he trade or did they sign for him? Either way, they did get Rocky Sin. I think that's, it's not the best option, but they did bring in a cornerback too for Marlon Humphrey. Now, the one thing that the Ravens are notorious for are developing guys that are 4th, 5th round picks, and it takes them a couple years to get in the system, and these guys become really good starters, good to just average starters, and they let him go. I think a prime example is Anthony Everett, Chuck Clark, Anthony Levine, guys like this, and they have a couple guys that they drafted these past couple years that I think they are slowly developing. They had a corner from Alabama last year. He showed really great flashes. I think his name is Jalen Amar Davis, the guy from Alabama. He showed flashes last year. He only played about 4 games, and I think he got hurt, and they just sat him down for the rest of the season. But he looked pretty good, and I think if he just develops more and more, he can potentially be a starting cornerback next year. Obviously, Marlon Humphrey, he's going to be the cornerback 1 for the future pretty much at this point. But it's just a matter of, can they get number 2 at this point? Because Marcus Peters, I don't know if he's going to come back and start right away, mainly because he's coming off a major injury and he's just older at this point. But he does sort of have that Raven way of, mean, nasty defensively. But I guess the purpose of this video is to pretty much highlight how the Ravens have pretty much 180 their whole roster and their whole philosophy since this Lamar Jackson signing, and I just can't wait to see how they perform this year. I think they can possibly win the AFC North, but they're going to have to win about 12 to 14 games to really pull it off. They can't go 9-8, 10-7. They got to go 12-5, 13-4, and things like that. But all that being said, I'm super excited about the Ravens. Obviously, the season is still months away. Obviously, my videos are slowing down because there's no actual football, and the draft is over, and the free agency period is pretty much over with. So we're just waiting on the actual football season. So all that being said, be sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and we out, man. Peace.